guys at the men's group. I haven't seen some of you in a while. Some of you I have had a great time having coffee with, and I just want to thank you for your support, calls I get, the emails. It really is cool to know that I got a bunch of guys that agree with what I'm doing and support with what I'm doing, even though it's tough. We have a choice to make. Real quickly, I sent you an email about Protestant, what it means to be a Protestant, both from a Christian perspective and also as an American. And really what happened was about 2 years ago, I was drawn into a conversation about selling the church and finding what to do. And I got involved really with Quan and Rod in finding ways to grow the church, to bring in new members and make that all happen. I spent 94 hours researching why our church lost so much. When I started going to Crossroads, guys, there were 3 services. The parking lot was packed, and you couldn't find a place to park, and it was booming. What I really missed is this: between the first and second services, there was a coffee time, and the first congregation would go out, the second congregation would go in, and what I believe is we can make Crossroads great again. We can bring it back to where it was. It's an awesome location. Since my church has been under construction, the way I put it, I have been going with my kids to other churches in the area. Got a lot of great ideas. I know pretty much all the pastors in the area on a first-name basis. And we have a great sanctuary. Our sanctuary is huge. Our parking is awesome. It is really a great location. So basically, I then sat down and said, I want to talk to the elders as a member about what we're going to do. And I spent a year in limbo. I asked a simple request to meet as a member with the fully constituted elder board. I never got that meeting. So basically, I realized, hey, that's something funny here. And I basically realized there's very little desire and energy and ability. You know, Trump calls low energy. I think really Mark and Elaine are low energy people. They will never bring the church up to what it needs to be. You need a young guy. You need a young married guy in his 20s or 30s that can take the church to the new level. Now, it's no secret. I'm 53. I have nowhere near the energy I had when I began building my 8 companies when I was 25. I'm a different guy. And Mark and Elaine are older than me. It won't happen. It's impossible. So I think what we need to do is find a search committee, have that search committee find a pastor. And guys, when my daughter was managing as a secretary of the church, the total payroll was $12,000 a month. You can't do it. You know, often I would count the people on Sunday mornings as 50 people. You can't take $12,000 and divide it by 50 people. It's impossible. But more importantly is the decision-making process that went into keeping payroll at $12,000 when it should be $5,000. Guys, as men, you know, we all run businesses. We all have this kind of an idea of what it takes to run things. You can go to Talbot Theology Seminary in La Mirada or Master's College in Santa Clarita, where my daughter goes, and you can get a guy for $5,000 a month. That guy is the janitor, he's the gardener, he's the handyman, and he also preaches on Sunday, goes to weddings, kisses babies, all the stuff pastors do. So you get him for $5,000 a month. Then you get his wife for free, $0. She then is in charge of the women's ministry and the kids. Guys, that's the way most churches around the globe operate. Okay? You go to Botswana, you go to Tokyo. Most churches, there's a guy, his wife, and that's how you run it. We can't afford $12,000, but here's what I think you need to be concerned about. The decision-making process that went into that is flawed. So in real estate, we call it self-dealing, when you make decisions that benefit yourself versus the others. So what I realize is that the elders are making decisions, mainly Mark and Carl and Elaine, making decisions that benefit themselves. So I, in my theory, came up with the notion that rather than grow the church, the idea was to let the church slide into further decline beyond 80%, Go to the congregation and say, guys, nothing we can do. We have to sell the property. Sell the property and then fund their pensions, 1, 2, or 3, either Elaine, Mark, or Elaine, Mark, and Carl, or just Elaine, whatever, and then scatter the church. So it's really a death spiral. So I freaked out. I couldn't get a meeting. And guys, look, Martin Luther suffered a lot for what he did. I've been sued. The police been called on me. I mean, you know I'm on track because of the reaction. They don't want things to change. But guys, we have to change. It's simple. Of those of you that own companies, you know what it's like. When the management's lousy and sales decline and expenses go up, you have to make changes. You have that power. And what surprises me is how intimidated people are at the church. And you'll talk to me in private in hushed tones and say, what can I do? What can I do? Guys, it's simple. The church, like our country, is a democratic institution. Okay? Simple. Call Quan and call Rod and say, hey, I don't want the church to disappear. I don't want it to turn into condos. I want a church. And it's simple. You find a young guy that has energy, that thinks 24/7. See, you need a guy that wants to build. Guys, young guys want to build. They want to grow. Find a guy that's got some energy and passion and is a good preacher and have him run the show for $5,000 a month. We can make it. We can afford $5,000 a month, but we can't afford it. We can't afford it for two reasons. There isn't the desire, the mindset to grow it in the current leadership. And number two, we can't afford it. Can't afford $12,000 a month or $10,000 a month or whatever it is now. So anyway, I just wanted to say two things. Some of you guys don't read. I know that because I remember sending stuff out. So I want to do a video. I want to point out this letter that I sent to you. You'll get it in the postal mail pretty soon. You have power. You have ability. You have to say to Rod and Quan. You can't say it to Mark and Elaine and Carl because, you know, who is it? Mark Twain, one of the guys, say, never argue against someone who it's in his interest not to. So you can't really argue with Mark and Carl and Elaine because they have a strong financial interest in selling the church, funding their pensions, and Mark retiring in Hawaii and the property that he owns. That's not possible. But Rod and Quan are good guys. You know, they don't like the way I did this, but, you know, they had no ability and no plan to change the church. The church has to fundamentally change. The good news is this isn't that complicated. This is way less complicated than the transactions that I've done or the deals I've put together owning real estate offices. It's simple. It's simple. Okay, ready? $12,000, $5,000. Several people on payroll, one guy on payroll. It's very simple. Here's the deal. His wife also answers the phones. So you've got the pastor as the janitor, the pastor, the landscaper, the handyman, okay? And he's shepherding the church. And then the wife runs the children's ministry. She runs the women's ministry. And she's the receptionist. But here nowadays, you don't have to sit there at your desk. She can have the phones go to her cell phone and she can answer the phones while she's driving her kids to school. That's how you do it. That's how you efficiently